All right, and we are on. Hello, and welcome back to the Bence podcast. Today, I
Thank you
welcome
so
back
much.
my old friend who I
Thank
started
you.
this podcast with. So,
Ah,
yeah, first of
thank
all,
you.
I would like to,
Thank you so much.
welcome you back. How you doing? You all right?
Um, I mean, it's doing. I think I'm doing quite well. I mean, there is a worldwide pandemic going on, and both of us, since we last spoke, I think the whole world completely changed. But
Yeah.
here we are again, and we cannot destroy Bence podcast. So I'm very happy to be a guest again.
Man, I just want to, first of all, start out with it's been so hard. Like, I've been trying to reach people, contact people to, get on the podcast, and everybody refuses me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there are so few people who don't refuse, and like my, cousins, friends, everybody,
Mm,
they just don't want to be on. And on some level, I understand, but on some other level, I just feel betrayed. Like, come on, man, it doesn't take much. Like, no one's gonna see
yeah.
it really, and anyway. So it's been difficult, man, finding people to come on the show. So don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to put out there. The other one, I've been a lazy cunt, and that's why
I,
you just lose motivation when people keep saying no to you. And it's
mm,
difficult to start a podcast if you haven't got people to talk with, right? So
no.
yeah, and doing the solo ones is just not my type, but
Mm.
it's maybe something I have to put up with. But anyway, yeah. So coronavirus. Let's talk about that. What do you think? As a
Um,
start off.
um, well, I think it has been really interesting, really wild, especially how it started out that it was just a virus really far away in China and no one
Mm,
really thought too much about it. Um, and then I think I remember that in Denmark everything changed so quickly. Just from 1 second to another, everything closed down. We couldn't go to university anymore,
mm.
and
When did this
yeah,
happen?
sometime in March. I don't remember exactly, but it literally was just I was coming home from school on Wednesday, and Thursday everything closed down. I mean, in a moment's notice.
Mm,
Um, but I have to really praise the government that I think they did a really marvelous job.
mm,
Um, Especially when we look at all the jobs that they were trying to save and that helped the economy and help so many people. I think it has been really a wonderful job. Also, in addition to that, what I really, really enjoyed was that um, if you apply for a government help package, you can only receive it if your company is not in tax havens. So you are actually paying taxes to Denmark, then you can get money back. And I think that's a wonderful thing, to be honest. I mean, it should be like this, to be honest, that if you pay, you get something back and not kind of the other way around.
but like I mean, it's difficult to determine if you're actually like cheating on your taxes, don't you? Because like you can set up a company in a given country like Denmark, and then you
Mhm.
can get people to work for that company. But it's possible that, like, let's say an American company just gives money to this company in Denmark, like it's child company or how it's called,
Mhm.
and then the people in Denmark don't need to make a profit. It's just they have to maybe do like regional work, but they don't have to make a profit. So they
Mhm.
have a company based, let's say, in the United States. Does
Also, they
that and
do
they get the
accounting here, let's
money
say.
from the United States transferred to
Mhm.
Denmark, and that's how they get paid. Like I don't know if like with
I'm
the
not
count.
I'm not sure about the specifics, but what I read was just mainly that if you're a company that is registered in a tax haven, you cannot get any help from the government. And to be honest, I really agree with it. I don't really know the specifics of this bill,
Mm,
but how it sounded like a really fair idea in my book.
yeah, that sounds alright, but I don't know. Hold on,
uh,
let me
but
lower
I
this
have to
down
say,
a
I
bit.
mean, everything changed so quickly. I mean, I've been kind of self quarantining for
Mm,
I think almost 1.5 to 2 months now. It's been fine. I mean, I have really great friends who I live with
Yeah,
and an
yeah,
amazing girlfriend. So my mental health has been quite fine, I would say.
yeah.
And in addition to that, I really have to say that the best thing about this whole coronavirus is that I feel like you're so much closer to your family and your friends than before. And I think that these personal relationships really changed for the better in a way. And I think we appreciate each other a little bit more. At least I do. I think
Mm.
I'm calling my family almost every day, every second day. And in that way, I think it has been a real blessing to us that we can kind of reevaluate our relationships, and I think that's a great thing about the virus, that yeah.
It's not great for our hairs. It's not been cut for
no
a while
no
now. Mine
no
certainly hasn't in like 2 months now, probably.
no, same with me, and I have to say that it has been tough on that part, but you know well, the other part that I really liked about the coronavirus is that just before the whole thing started, I bought a completely new desktop with one of the best video cards and everything.
Mm.
And I have to say, I was quite lucky that I could test my computer quite thoroughly during this time. And it has been really great, I have to say. Playing all those games that I couldn't play before
Mm.
because my computer wasn't good enough. And I mean, it has been a really great catch up to play
Yeah.
with Red Dead Redemption, for example, or
Well, are you playing the second
yeah, exactly.
on
So the second
PC?
part, yeah, yeah, and it's been really nice. I mean, I have to say that I played both the single player and the online, and it's been like I had quite mixed feelings about the game. I think the single player is quite nice, and you have a
Mm.
really compelling story. There's a few annoying parts about that game as well, but I think it's fine. But I have to say that the online has been really. I've really had like such a negative experience of the whole game because imagine that you buy a game for 40 euros, and then at every turn when you play online, they want you to engage in all of these microtransactions. And I have to say, I really don't agree with that, the way that they do it. That you have to grind for 4 hours, let's say, to get some money, but you can pay 10 euros and then you can get something instantly. I don't really like that, the way that it has been done in that game. I
The
understand.
I I just want to add that it wouldn't be a problem as long as as long as it's not part of the main like difficulty in the game.
No.
So it's like the whole point of the game to play, get money, upgrade your stuff, and then what was the end game really? Like what was the end game
There
which you're
is
really
none.
playing for? Yeah, exactly. So like when you can purchase your way through the game,
Mm.
like it doesn't make much sense to play it
Yeah.
because like I'm supposed to grind
Mm-hmm.
in order to get money, to get better equipment, to be better. But actually, if I can just pay through my pay my whole way through the game, then what's my real point? Like, what am I
Yeah.
really trying to do in the
No.
end? So as long as they have some end game content, it's not a problem. But if you can like that's why I haven't got a problem with purchasing like skins and stuff because they
No,
don't
but
really
that's
add to the
completely
game.
different.
Yeah, but if you
I think that's
buy,
completely different
yeah,
because if you buy skins, that's completely visual, right? It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
improve your gameplay. It doesn't change the way how things work. But okay, let's say for example, when you start out in the game, you have I think like a few kind of quests that you can do, and then you're kind of left all alone, and then you have to
mm,
figure out how the whole things work. And for example, in a Wild West shooter, I would expect that you could do bounty hunting. Well, you have to pay
yeah, you
10 euro
can.
to do bounty hunting.
Yeah,
You can do kind of like searching for things and
yeah, the
scavenge
treasure.
stuff. Yeah, the
Yeah,
treasure hunt. So you also have to pay 10
we got
euros for
the
that, or you can grind
moonshiner
it.
and the
Exactly, but
trader. Yeah,
the thing about, for example, the moonshiner is that you have to pay 20 gold for that to
yeah, yeah,
unlock
yeah,
it.
yeah. You have
And
to
I mean,
grind. That
that's
takes so much
really
time.
exactly. So I just I really am not too happy about the whole experience that I had. I think I played like for 2 weeks and it was fine, but playing a computer game, I think especially if you play online, it shouldn't really feel like a full-time job,
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to do this and this and this and this and this, and then you can enjoy the game. So
It's like games where like Cold Simulator, like
Mhm.
what's the game, like Farming Simulator. Like imagine being a farmer. You do a whole day's work and then you just sit down to continue farming. Like it doesn't like.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Like a game, where you play as as a professional. Like imagine like there are so many games where you have to play out a certain job, like a farmer or a truck driver or train driver or construction, whatever. And it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's really fun. I mean, if you think about Sims, right? I mean, that's the most, I don't know,
Oh yeah, Sims. Yeah.
realistic in a way, realistic if we can say
Yeah.
that. And there you can really, I mean, become. I mean, I think it's a really interesting way that, you know, there is of course a market for it. If there is Truck Simulator 12, that there's a huge lovers of people who love to drive trucks at home. Which is, in my opinion, it is incredibly weird that you like to you know, drive for 12 hours with a truck. But if you enjoy that, you know, why not?
I mean, if I would love to read like a psychological analysis about the people who play and like do a job. Like if you, let's say I don't know, you're a nurse or whatever, and go home, sit down, and start playing the truck simulator game, and you have to make deliveries, right? And then I'm just wondering, like, why would you do it? Like, does it relax you? Does it? Why? Like, you grind, you work, you kind of work, but it's because it's not really like fun, is it? It's more like you
Depends on
act
your
out a job.
definition. I mean, we don't know, right? I mean, maybe we cannot imagine that that's fun, but for some people it must be. I mean,
No,
for
I
some
can
people, I'm
imagine
pretty
it's fun.
sure that Red Dead Redemption is not fun for them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it might be fun and relaxing for them, and it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just gaming is it's just I find it interesting. Like there's so many, like imagine when, or do you remember when, you know, like maybe 10 years ago when Facebook started the gaming section, and you had like whenever you went to IT class, it was basically you sit down and then you played Facebook games like Farmville and like Seawheel, or like there were so many games on Facebook where everybody played. Like, I remember the company called Zynga, you know, like the Zynga, and they were such a huge success, and then they just dropped in value. Like they were, I remember their stock prices, how quickly they went up and then it came down. And what I'm trying to say is, those people were not classified as gamers. And then when like mobile devices came in and you had apps on them like Candy Crush Sega, and those like games made more money, which were not like, they were not high cost games, but yet they were making more money than like high AAA titled games like Call of Duty or whatever. And that's when people realized, oh, hold on a minute, like microtransactions and all that sort of stuff, just like, oh, there's a lot of money to be made here. So everybody just jumped on that, and they like gaming changed. I had a podcast where I made about how gaming has changed, and it really, you really think about, wow, like since you grew up, like you had like 5 games you played, didn't you? That's all you played. You just kept reinstalling them, and then you had the internet, and then everything's changed. Like it's changed so much. I don't know what happened. It's just different nowadays, I think.
I mean, to be honest, with microtransactions, I think there are ways that you can do it really well and ways that you can do it really shit.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, for example, when you look at a company like Infinity Ward, the guys who make Call of Duty, I have to say that it is actually really nice what they are doing. That, for example, the new game came out called Modern Warfare Warzone, I think, that is completely free, but you can choose to purchase a game, you can choose to purchase a battle pass, but it doesn't give you any direct, you know, upgrades in the game, and you will not
like advantages
shooting better. Exactly. So it's completely what is it called, visual. So there's no real advantage in the whole game.
Like skins and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that is a great way to actually make money on the side, but also have a really rewarding feature that people can choose to purchase, but it doesn't affect their gameplay at
Yeah,
all.
it's like optional. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that is a really great idea.
Would you agree? Like, I know there was a huge controversy about like in-app purchases and microtransactions and all this sort, like loot crates and all that. Would you agree that it's gambling or not?
100% it is gambling. Well, it depends what we talk about, right? Like when we look at Counter-Strike and how you open a loot crate, I think that is gambling. Because
but
gambling
like when you gamble, like you like, because in my mind, whenever you gamble, like I don't gamble, but whenever you, let's say you put chips on red at the roulette or at a number or whatever, you only win anything at all if you're correct, right?
Yeah.
Or if you play blackjack, or like you have to win, like you have to put money on it, you have to win, and that's when you get something back. I think that's what gambling is. But whenever you purchase like a loot crate, there's a certain chance that you're going to get a high value item, like you're going to make a return on your investment.
No.
But whatever you do, you still get something back. So it's like gambling, but you still get something back.
The thing is that, in my point of view, I think gambling is much more like you put your money up, but you don't know what you're gonna get, right? You can lose all your money, or you can get something out of it. And when you look at all these systems, for example, with CS:GO or EA, what has created before, 100%, the way it has been set up, the way it has been made, there's no real question that it's not a gambling. I mean, honestly
but
speaking,
like what I'm saying is, as long as you know your chances and at least get something back, so you don't lose 100% of what you invested or that you put up as a bet. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's gambling.
It's completely gambling, because if you would purchase something, let's say a knife, then you would know, okay, this knife would cost me 10 euros, so I would pay 10 euros for that. But now you have to actually go to a CS:GO shop, buy some keys, and then open up some crates. And then maybe you have 1% chance. So if you buy 100 keys, then maybe you get one knife out of it. I genuinely don't believe that that's not gambling.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
because
is,
even if
when you gamble, you don't get something back. So, but when you open like a CS:GO like knife, there's still something what you can use and trade and whatnot. So it's like I would say it's gambling, but it's not
small.
Yeah, I know, but you still get something. Like, it doesn't matter what you get. If like you're still gonna lose on the value, but you get an item back. So it's like imagine there is like, I don't know, a bag filled with like bowls, and all those bowls contain like items or numbers or whatever, and the number corresponds to an item you can win. And let's say there are 10 number ones, 5 number twos, and 3 number threes, and whatever. So it decreases. So you have a higher chance of pulling a number 1 out. And number 1 is like a low cost item. But you still get something back. So it's like gambling, but you still get something for, like, you don't lose everything.
Yeah, but it is still gambling. So
yeah,
even though you would, of course, maybe you wouldn't win the money back or whatever, but you would still lose the money. So, and I mean, it is incredibly, the way it has been set up, it is incredibly predatory.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't, like, you lose on the value of the item, but you still get something. Something usable.
I think that's my problem personally is much more with when it comes to gambling, especially with kids. There is a very strict reason why you cannot gamble, you cannot drink, or you cannot smoke until you are 18. It's because your brain is not developed yet, so you cannot really understand how these mechanisms are affecting you and cannot really make a good judgment call when it comes to these things. And my personal problem is not the fact that you can waste $20
Yeah, but people are
game.
addicted when they are like 40. So it's like...
Yeah, of course. And if it's 40 years old, then it's their problem. I'm talking about mainly minors here, and a lot of minors are having incredible problems with it. There is, of course, a really big push, like, for example, in the Netherlands, or in Switzerland, they banned EA completely doing any microtransactions or Counter-Strike Go. It's because they completely understand that this is a ripoff, especially to kids.
Yeah. I mean, I agree on some level, but on the other,
I mean, of course, if you are an adult,
money?
and there is so many other ways.
Yeah, but like gaming is difficult, isn't it? Like,
of course, but I genuinely don't see that you have to gamble in order to make money. I genuinely do not agree with that idea.
Yeah, but
and
like,
also,
I don't agree with that as well. But like, casinos are legal, aren't they?
Yeah, and
you're guaranteed to lose money. Like,
but what is the age to enter a casino?
Yeah,
it's 18.
I agree.
Right?
There is an age limit, but if you take the age limit out of the like question, I don't think. Like, I don't think they are good, like microtransaction and whatnot. Like, I don't think they are good. No. But on the other hand, like, I know gaming is difficult and there's piracy and all that sort of stuff. And it's a consistent way to make money for your shareholders.
No.
And like in the United States, if you are a CEO, it's your responsibility to do the best for your shareholders. So everybody's just going to jump on, oh yeah, let's make some money. And if that's banned, I know it's like gambling, and like it can affect minors because you can't really check if that person is actually a minor. No. Like it's more difficult than in a casino, right? But still,
but I mean,
it's maybe unnecessary intervention, I think.
Yeah, but if you leave it how it is, nothing good will come out of it. I think I would much rather have it in a way that, for example, you know what you pay for. Then it's, I think, completely fair. Like, let's say, for example,
yeah, I agree. As long as they list the chance, what you get.
Or, for example, actually, a much better thing, Fortnite. There's no gambling in Fortnite, right? You can. As far as I haven't played. Maybe a year ago I've played it, but as far as I've seen, there is no loot boxes. There's no chance that you would get an item. And I think that is a very important thing to look at, because maybe you would like to have a cool skin, and then you would go in, buy some V-Bucks, and then you would buy the skin that you want. So there's no gambling involved, but the company is still making money, right? So I think you just take away all that unnecessary filter, and people can just directly buy what they want instead of them kind of forced to play a gamble or pay incredibly overpriced prices on the Steam market. So I think that is a very fair way, because you would still make money, right? But in a way
but not every game can do that. I think there are multiple types of games. I think
Counter-Strike, you could do that. Counter-Strike, 100%. EA games, 100%. All of the games that EA has right now, you can do it easily. You can even throw them Battle Pass and have them unique unlockable things. 100%. I don't see the need to have this type of gambling when you can have an alternative that is much more cleaner. Maybe people actually would spend much more money on your website because they actually know what they get. So I would actually much rather have this. Imagine if you would go to the shop and you would have you would have to spend 100 euros, but you don't know what you're going to get. I don't think that's a fair deal.
Yeah, well. All right, let's move on from this subject. All right. So what have you been doing since the coronavirus?
Oof, man.
How does your average day look like?
I wake up, I cry for like 2 hours, I think.
Cry?
No, like usually I wake up, I try to do some exercise in the morning. Then I would start on my university, whatever it may be I have to do for that day. And then I would maybe game until quite late, and then I would just go to sleep. In between, I would maybe talk with my parents, see my girlfriend, whatever it is, maybe. But yeah, I'll try to reduce my social interactions as much as possible and not to go out. I mean, sometimes, of course, I go out and do whatever, have a walk, but I've been trying really hard to keep the quarantine as much as possible.
I think this is something that so many people understand. Like, my dad told me one of the worst advice is, like, he said, or like some of my friends or like relatives and whatnot, like they told me, you know, I should be all right because I'm young. It's like, and if I get the virus, I should be okay. It's like, I you know, I somewhat agree. Maybe I will be all right, but I can still pass it on. And
Exactly.
then there's the whole point. Like, you shouldn't pass it
No.
on. So as long like you can be fine and jolly
Yeah.
and whatnot, but
But
if you pass it on, that means more people will pass it on, and the vulnerable will just die out more quickly. And that's the whole point of the quarantine. So, and so many people don't really understand that, like, oh, because you're young, you should be fine. Like, maybe, but then I can still pass it on. And that's the whole point. Yeah.
I mean, especially, you know, just because you're young, it shouldn't mean that it's okay to get it. Because especially if you have some sort of underlying health condition, it can really make your life miserable.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. And of course, as you said, it is such a stupid thing to say that you only think about yourself.
Yeah,
it's okay
exactly.
because I do it.
Yeah.
That's why we banned cigarettes from schools. Because it is my choice that I smoke. I know I would get lung cancer. But what about the little kids around me who could get some sort of cancer because they inhale that smoke?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the same fucking thinking. So I think it is very, very immature. And truth to be told, I think in Hungary there are like these two huge opposites, that one side doesn't really care about it and thinks it's false. And the other one is, is the other group who is constantly terrified that we are all going to die. I mean,
yeah, but it's true everywhere. Like, there are always
true.
ends, like extreme ends, and like it's, oh my god, like honestly. So I've been on, you know, I wake up and, you know, I look at my notifications. I surely have one or two from Instagram or Facebook or whatnot. So sometimes, you know, I look at them, and the amount of shit people share is ridiculous. But it's not like funny videos. It's more about like facts, you know. And it's like so many stupid shit I see, and it's people don't think about the things they share, and it's just wasted time, honestly, because people start arguing in the comments. And I just think the internet has become this so toxic place where it's like you can't really have a conversation anymore. And this is why I like podcasts, because, and especially the video format, because you can see our facial expressions, and what we mean is easily understood by our facial expressions. And, you know, like it's like a proper way to talk. But when you're on the internet, and especially when you share like stupid shit, like I saw something like, soap kills virus, like I don't know how it was, but like the point was the picture what was shared, like they couldn't come up with a like a vaccine for a virus, for a thing what soap kills. And I'm like thinking, like, bro, let's just put soapy water in a what's it called? Injection. Like inject yourself with some soapy water. Like and this is what, like, look at me. I'm upset about this being shared. So I can't stand it. I can't go online because, and I wonder what this person has thought, like, when they shared it. Like, do they gonna get some giggles, some comments, some likes, and it's just decisive, and I hate
the sad thing is that a lot of people, they are actually like completely thinking that. And it's funny that you say that, because it has been, I think, over a month now that I have completely disabled my Facebook. And I have to say that it was.
I like Messenger. Like, Messenger has.
Me too.
But Facebook is full of shit.
So the thing is, I actually deleted Facebook, and I have to say that I have been feeling so great since that, and I'm really not planning going back there, because, as you said, like, my reasoning was completely the same as you have said, like the amount of shit that has been going on. And, you know, of course, people say, well, why don't you just block these people and blah, blah, blah. The thing, it will always happen. I mean, you will always find idiots. And I just really didn't want to put up with it. So this has been one of the reasons, to be honest. And the other has been this wall-to-wall coverage of all the mainstream medias. And from one hand, that all of us are going to die the next day and coronavirus is going to wipe us out. And from the other side is that nothing bad is happening, and guys, keep it chill and blah, blah, blah. And I just couldn't really take this sort of constant negative for bombardment, because in a way that's how they make money, right? That they just bomb you with crazier and crazier stuff, and then you need to click on it and read it, and you feel bad about yourself. So no, I don't think that. I'm really happy that I stopped using it. I think you should stop using it. I mean, it's not a productive thing to have on your phone or on your computer.
The thing is, I only use it for like Instagram and Facebook. It's like memes. It's all like it's like memes to get a giggle. Like that. That's it. Because there's
that's what I miss.
And also, you can't read a genuine article anymore. Like newspapers and journalism is dead. Like it's been dead since like years now, at least 5 years. It's like it's always
10, 20 years.
Two ends. Like you don't read. Like what I want to read is the middle. Like they have a good side, but also they have a good side. So people have to realize what's really important, what we should focus on, what humanity should focus on, and decide for ourselves: do we want to stand with this argument, what's good for X, Y, Z, or do we have to want, as a humanity, as a species, do we want to stand with the other one, what's good for ABC? And it's you really think like, and this is a real conversation starter, because you start to talk about people like, what do you think? Should humanity go in this direction or that direction? No, this doesn't exist anymore. This is like one direction is, oh, the other side is fuck you, and the other side is like, oh, you shut up, you fuck you. Yeah, it's like it's standstill. Like everything's standstill. Nothing moves on, because it's, and also people, when they attack each other and try to block each other and try to harm each other, they just, what they don't realize, they actually like pump up and power up the side what they're trying to like diminish and push down. So it's like counterproductive. So it's just the internet is too toxic. I think and the algorithms make us stay on the sites longer, so we can see more ads and we can like click on more ads, and that's the whole, like, I understand, but it's still it's so strange, because on one hand, capitalism is good, and economics is good if it's like moving up, but on the other hand, like, not at all costs. Like we should, like, I'm not for limiting growth and like government interventions. I'm really not for that, but we still have to do something to make us point in the right direction. Because like exploiting humans, even if we don't understand what it does to us, it's for like capital gain. It's it's good for the profits, what goes into everybody's pension, and everybody can retire from exploiting ourselves. Like it's good on the other end, but on the other, it's not good for society. And this is what I'm talking about. Because like if you have Facebook shares and Apple and Google and all these shares in your pension, like eventually, because they make more money, they're gonna pay more dividends, and they're gonna the value's gonna go up. So when you retire, your money has made more money than the inflation took down. So actually, that's how you can retire. Basically, you have more money when you are retiring, or your money made more money than how much inflation has grew, and that's how you can retire. So, right? I mean, this is right. But like, in order to make money, let's say Facebook is a good company to invest in, right? It has to exploit humans to sell ads, or generate money, what they can pay back to the shareholders. So it's like it's also good for you and not good for you.
Real in a way, right? I mean, when you say exploitation, I mean technically everything, and this is all things that we do is voluntary exploitation. No one is forcing me to eat at that restaurant. No one is forcing me to use Facebook. No one is forcing me to use Google. No one is forcing me to use YouTube.
This is what I'm talking about, because like when you buy sugary drinks and junk food and all this sort of stuff, like whatever is better for you, like kind of makes the most money. So like exploiting ourselves makes a lot of money. What's good for like our pensions and our profits and our money in the long run, but also we have made damages to ourselves. And like this is one thing why I always think about is, like, sorry to go off track here, but like,
No,
how long is it going to go? How long is the economy is going to grow? Because I think it's very close.
I mean,
It's closely correlated with the amount of people. Because imagine once
no, I
people
don't
are going
believe in
to
that.
go, like the population is going to go down. I don't think it's possible that the economy is going to keep going up.
With innovations, of course it will be.
Yeah, but innovation is not fast enough now. Like it came to a standstill, I think, years ago.
Yeah, in a way, yes. If you, especially actually, it's very funny that you say that. I was looking at the new iPhone. I don't know if you've seen it. The new iPhone SE.
I can't even bother now. Like I remember when the iPhone 4S came out, and I was
Yeah.
so fucking excited. I got my iPhone 4S. It was unbelievable. Then I
The
got
great
my
phone,
6S, and it was kind of bad. It's kind of alright. And I got my XS, and it's like, okay, I guess like it's the amount of improvement it receives. I lost interest.
Exactly. I mean, truth to be told, like the new iPhone SE, when you compare it with the iPhone 8, there's almost no improvement. A little improvement in the GPU and the CPU and little bit better camera, but you cannot justify spending $500 for a phone that the iPhone 8 can do the same. I mean, the battery is literally the same. I mean, you know what I mean? That there is not this huge technological improvement. Like, for example, going from iPhone 5 to 6, that was a huge leap. I mean, the design changed and the screen size changed, and I think that was a huge leap. But when you look at it now and how it's changing from year to year, it's very minuscule if anything is changing.
And also keep in mind, whenever like Apple makes money, like Apple will find itself in its own trap because they make good phones, so it's harder to convince people to like upgrade. And what they have always done is basically just, if you've got an iPhone 4S, you haven't got the new iOS updates on there, right? So it's like they're forcing people. Like this is like, I feel our economy is fake because people are, this planned, what's they called, planned when things go bad or they break. What's it called?
Planned expiry.
Planned obsolescence, or planned obsolescence, or I don't know the words. No, whatever. Like the thing is,
so
they plan on
basically.
things to go like they break, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's just fake economics. It's not like you have to buy it. It's not better or that much better, but you have to buy it.
They are actually kind of forcing Apple now to stop doing it, especially in the EU, because now we have new environmental laws here, which basically says that you cannot do this anymore. I mean, Apple was trying to justify it that these phones, for example, it was a really famous case that iPhone 4 didn't have Siri on it, but 4S did.
4S had Siri. That was another big one.
And they tried to justify that 4 couldn't run it because of chips, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out that they actually already had it for 4. They already had Siri for 4, but they didn't want to release it. And later on, we also found out a lot of nasty things, like they purposefully slowed down a lot of phones just so when you, for example, install the new iOS update, you would be kind of forced to get the newer version of phones.
Yeah. I noticed that as well. And then it came, and now you have the option to choose between like performance and like battery life, or I don't know how the choice is given, but like it was hidden. Like if they have told us, everything would have been different. But like because they didn't, they were like acting like cons, and then trying to force people to purchase. Yeah. Strange, isn't it? So, like this is why, like, would you agree that the world's economy is mostly based on all these fake improvements and like all this fakeness? And I think once that stops, I just don't. I think we have been long in a standstill, and our economy hasn't really improved. It's just these fake things will keep Like you have to
Well,
buy new
I
light
would
bulb.
much rather say really small improvement that has been
Yeah.
helping us, but there hasn't been like the invention of the internet like in the 1990s, right? I mean, that has been a fucking great thing. I mean, no one can deny that. That I think that has been like the maybe second invention after the computers and the fire. I think that has really changed human history. Maybe like fire, electricity, computers, internet, something like this. Top four. Um, but yeah, it is really true. And also, I mean, if you look at like
Yeah,
what
but like,
happened,
hold on. Like, let's expand. Like, I want to talk about that
mm,
because that's interesting, isn't it? Like, people, like, oh man, that's such a long topic to talk about. Like, but I mean, I don't know, and probably no one knows. But whenever the first humans came about, they probably weren't as smart as we are now, and I believe that's
no, that's
partly
100%
due
true.
to like nutrition as well. Like there are many reasons, but
Mm,
humanity has expanded on its own inventions. Let's say there
yeah.
was like fire, right? Like with fire, they could cook meat what was more nutritious, so it enabled like those early humans to like become smarter and more nourished,
Mm,
which gave them better advantage at hunting. And that was such a huge leap that they were able to like grow more in population, and maybe because they were better nourished, their brains functioned
actually,
better.
yeah, but fire has also a lot of other stuff. So fire gives you light, so you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see in
light.
the
Yeah, yeah,
night, right? It has this really special stuff that people like to gather around it. It creates some
like
sort of a
community.
bond.
Yeah,
Exactly. So it was actually the kind of the birthplace of newer communities and small
yeah,
communities. So that has been a great. As you said, it is also incredibly important to cook food, to heat stuff, to warm us. That is also a really great feature of fire. So I think that has been like such a. I think that has been like the biggest invention in humankind.
yeah. But like this one, like you cannot say what I'm trying to get. Like maybe just to get a point across is I don't believe there is one single biggest invention, because that was the fire first, right? That enabled
Mm,
humans to develop further. Then let's say there was like you
probably
put
the
on
beer,
clothes, you put on like iron tools, you put on like
also
all
the
these
wheel.
small things. Yeah. Like, and then libraries, writing system. Like
Mm.
people say religion is bad, but I think like religion back in the day was probably one of
No,
the most important thing what kept humans together, and it gave them a common purpose and all
I
that.
would
But
much
that's
rather
another.
say that it's still nowadays. I think it is incredibly relevant and very very important. I think.
Well, like I don't think religion is that important now, like in today's world, because. But that's another topic. Let's just
No,
get back. So, yeah, like we had fire, clothing, like writing, reading, like
the
sharing
wheel.
knowledge, like building better
Mm.
buildings and construction and all the small things. And then you had, I don't know, like refrigeration. So you didn't have to go to hunt every day because you could just put
No,
meat in the refrigerator, right? And then,
actually, before
like,
refrigeration, what we found out was that you don't have to cool down meat, but there are certain conditions that you can store
yeah, if you
food
like
in.
put salt on there and
Exactly. So you
yeah,
would cure meat or you would cure
yeah.
vegetables.
That's what like curry is like in India. They have curry because like
Mhm.
all the rotten meat is just they just put a shitload of spices on it and they ate it. It's like humanity is gone through a lot. But what I'm trying to say is like like and then we had you know people had to realize electromagnetism, how to exploit it, how to make
Mhm.
electricity work, how to make light bulbs. Like
Yeah.
light bulbs took a long time to actually develop and make them work. And then you had like cars, you had public transportation, like cities, like also like weapons to defend yourself. Then
Mhm.
you had from electricity there came the first computers, then transistors, then normal modern computers, then the internet. Then the internet helped develop like softwares and communities and all this sort of stuff, what generated more money, what generated better, like returns if you invested in the IT sector. So it had more money, and people put loads of money in there, and all these small things just like added up. And also, like, another thing, contraception, because people, whenever they had sex, children were born mostly. But when contraception came in, like, women had the chance to not get pregnant when they had sex, and that's enabled them to, and also the word was to enter into the workforce, and that changed everything. Like so many has changed since humanity. But what I'm trying to say with all this is there isn't one single thing that is the biggest invention, because it all added up. Like everything added up
but
to.
There are things that impacted our lives much more than others. I mean, we could have survived without knives, let's face it. But surviving without wheels, not so much. You know what I mean? Like, you can still rank the importance of inventions. That's what I was trying to point out, that there were some inventions that were much more relevant in the change of our lives and how we have improved our lives than others.
I just can't agree with completely, because like everything influences everything, and everything is built on other things.
But wouldn't you agree that having a knife and a fork don't improve your life as much as fire or a wheel or electricity?
But fire came first and enabled us to craft better knives. And because we had better knives, we were able to cut, and forks and knives, we were better able to cut meat. Like we didn't have to tear it and use our maybe hands, what were dirty, because sanitation. What's his full name? Like Semmelweis Ignat, I think. Like the Hungarian who, like the godfather of the like woman in labor. Yeah, because he realized that washing your hands helped women survive like childbirth more often than. So it's like actually, sanitation is another thing.
I know it's a little bit off topic, but I have a really interesting story about Mr. Semmelweis. The thing is that during his time, they didn't know about bacteria and all of this stuff. They didn't really know about. However, when it was observed, he started observing that women survived childbirth much more often if the doctor who has been helping her giving birth has cleaned their hands. He just observed this, and then he started telling doctors that you should wash your hands, because if you don't wash it, you might be the cause that she dies. And the way he put it wasn't smart, because it's like you telling a doctor that the doctor had something to do with the death of the patient, but you cannot see because he was doing everything right. So he was actually thought as a crazy person, and for the longest time they didn't believe him. And even when he died as a very poor guy with no recognition, and it took them, I think, like 30, 40, 50 years to realize that it is an incredibly important thing to wash your hands. So that is actually a really, really sad story about his life, but
it's like all the achievements that you can make or you like do during your life, and you get those achievements post-human, like once you died, and you can't really enjoy the recognition you deserve.
It's like Alan Turing, for example. Have you heard about him?
Yeah. I saw the movie, the Imagination Game, or what it's called.
Imitation Game.
Imitation.
No. But you know, like the thing that the movie kind of missed out on is that the British government forced him to take like this sort of pills.
Oh yeah, because he was gay, wasn't he? Like castrate himself. Yeah,
exactly.
Like what a dick move, man.
I don't know if he was castrated, but he had to take certain pills that fucked with your hormones.
Yeah.
And what came out of it is that he actually committed suicide. I mean, imagine this fucking guy who with a brilliant
helped
team,
win the war.
Yeah, exactly. And they broke this unbreakable code, and they helped humanity. I mean, undoubtedly, right? And yet this was the biggest problem, that he was gay. I mean, you know, us looking back at it now, right?
Yeah, this is another topic. There's so many topics to talk about, man. And it's already 1 hour. But like, oh man, um, yeah, like I appreciate you, man. Like you're such a good friend because I can talk to you about like anything. Like you can just go on. Like you can't stop. And it's not like one place. You can just move about. You know, it's like you can jump around topics. So,
and by the way, just for our viewers, we didn't talk what we are going to talk about. I mean, we
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
discuss
yeah,
topic through topic that
yeah,
what is going to be happening
yeah.
or
It's
whatnot.
just like free flowing.
Yeah, exactly. It's very
But
random, but it's nice.
yeah, what I wanted to say is this is why I believe religion. I think it's used to be very important, and it can be important in your life, but it shouldn't be. Like it should no longer be something what tells you how to live your life. Like you can appreciate things what your religion says, but we know better now than what most religions say. Like for just a small of topic, I know Jews cannot eat pig because back in that day when this commandment came about that you shouldn't eat pigs, like pigs had some sort of like infection and that kills Jews, and that's why like I'm not 100%, but this is the reason why
it was actually
religion
also
helped.
Muslims, right? So it was
Yeah,
both
like
Jews and Muslims,
yeah.
and it was much more like due to the fact that while they tried to wrap it in this nice way that the pig is a dirty animal, blah blah blah, it was much more the fact that if you didn't cook pig meat properly, then you could get very sick and you could actually
but
die.
this is what I'm trying to get to is like religion actually helped back in the day to live your life better and helped share knowledge, and like this is how you had to live your life to have like the best chance of life, you know. But now, you know, the, we just have the, you know, the like humanity has the scientific method, and science is more capable to help us than religion. But I'm not like people need to still
I
believe
mean,
in
in a way,
something.
yes, but I don't think that we should only focus on science. And I
No,
think
no,
that
no, no, no.
religion, for a lot of people, it gives them some sort of hope and belief. And maybe some people they live good because of religion.
Yeah,
But
but
of course, there are a lot of people who do bad things because of religion. I mean,
yeah. But what I'm trying to say is like, you know, not even 100 years ago, as you said, with Ellen Chung, probably because England was like Christian and like being gay was a sin, you know, and it was in the law. Like,
yeah.
like there are still some countries that base their laws around religious things. Like there are some in Hungary, you know, like the shops used to be shut on Sunday a few years ago. Do you remember?
Yes.
And like this is why I just cannot agree with like everybody should have their like own religion and what they believe in. It's like,
But you
you know,
shouldn't
how
force
they
other
cope.
people to live like that. I completely agree with that.
Is
And
one
you
thing,
shouldn't
and
make
also
laws
it's
based
not.
on that.
Yeah, and it's not right anymore, because
I mean,
imagine
that's why
if.
we separated church and state at the first place, right? So
I just think, you know, because you know, like the more you think about it, in today's time, it doesn't make much sense that gay people or like whatever like sexuality people should be like punished or whatever in any way because we live in such good times. But let's say the apocalypse comes and you have to restart everything from the beginning. If you were gay and the world's population was around, let's say, 1 million, then being gay is actually not good because, you know, you have to survive and you have to have offspring. So if you fancy other, like your same gender, like it's not the big problem for like females because they can still get pregnant and raise like children. But if you like as a man, you only fancy men and you don't want to have children, that means, you know, you genetically forced to stop yourself. And like I understand why religion came up with this idea to like don't fancy men or like don't be gay, because like it was essential for people to have offspring, because, you know, back in the day you had to have like 20 kids and like 3 survived the age of 20. just like it makes sense, but like because we live in such good times, I think religion should be something we study, but we shouldn't really take it as seriously as how it's written, let's say in the Bible or in the Quran or wherever. Like if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what do you think about
100%,
this?
I'm 100% agreeing with this idea that you should never have a society based on only religious
But like
law,
not never,
because
but like especially now when we live in such
yeah,
good times and we
exactly.
have the scientific method and all this stuff.
But we should also, in a way, kind of appreciate how we grew out of Christianity, and especially this Judeo-Christian values that we have in the West and in Europe. I think
but we cannot ignore the fact how much it helped humanity.
Exactly, that is my point. That when we look at these places in the West, you can really say how minorities treated are more or less equal, especially when you look at gay people or people of different color or different religions or different gender. I mean, I think it is undoubtedly a really great feature of what we have, of why we had Christianity and or these Judeo-Christian values, and what a great society grew out of this, right? But as you said, I kind of agree with this idea that we shouldn't, like, let's say we shouldn't, I don't know, punish people because of things that they have no control over. Let's just say if they are gay or whatever is their color of their skin, or any of these things.
Just sorry to cut you for just a second. We are approaching 1 hour, and if it's less than an hour, Skype records it in 1080p. So I'm wondering, do you want to continue for, let's say, another half an hour? Because
I can do that if you want.
Okay, then I'm just going to stop it now, upload it as part 1, so it's 1080p, and then we do another one. Yeah, so would you mind if you just stop for a minute? But don't forget your thoughts. We're going to get back to it. Okay, right, I'm going to stop it now, and this is end of part 1, and then we're going to continue in part 2. All right, so peace out for now, and click somewhere to watch part 2.